Think about where the loan file actually lives while it moves from the application to closing, where the member's account history sits when a service rep pulls it up, where HR keeps the offer letters and the signed forms. For most banks and credit unions and mortgage companies, the answer is the same quiet system, SharePoint. And across May and June of 2026, Microsoft patched a group of flaws in on-premise SharePoint Server that on the wrong day turns one stolen password into code running on the server that holds all of it. Here's the short version and the part nobody puts in the headline. In its May 2026 security release, Microsoft fixed several remote code execution flaws in on-premise SharePoint Server, with another following in early June. The ones you can independently confirm include 3. A common vulnerability and exposure is just the global tracking number for a major security flaw. These 3 are all SharePoint Server flaws. I have put the exact CVE numbers in the description. Most of these are deserialization flaws, which is just a fancy way of saving the server trust data it should not. And an attacker can smuggle in instructions that the server then runs. 2 things about severity, and they pull in opposite directions. These are rated high on the industry severity scale. The CVSS is the common vulnerability scoring system, is the 0 to 10 severity scale. These are high, not critical. The most serious ones carry a score of 8.8. Any honest write-up says that out loud, but high in a remote code execution flaw still means somebody who reaches it can run their own code on the box that holds your most regulated data. Now, here is the line you will hear that is supposed to make you relax, and why it should not. These flaws need an authenticated attacker. They are not open holes anyone on the public internet can walk through. The attacker needs a working account first. In a vacuum, that sounds like a real barrier. In a financial institution that fields phishing attempts every single day, it's not much of one. Credential theft is the front door to most intrusions. So the honest framing is not that they need credentials, so relax. It is they need credentials, and credentials are the one thing that attackers are best at getting. One processor clicks one convincing invoice phish. An authenticated flaw turns that stolen login into code execution on the server holding your active loan files. And we have seen how fast these flaws move once a working exploit exists. In 2025, the tool shell exploit chain built on the original tool shell flaw was an unauthenticated 0-day that attackers actively exploited in the wild against on-premise SharePoint servers within days of disclosure. Now, tool shell is not in this 2026 group. It needed no credentials and was already being attacked. This 2026 group needs a foothold and has no public reports of exploitation. But tool shell is exactly why. Nobody in financial services should treat a SharePoint server patch window casually. Which brings me to the one paragraph I told people to read twice. Whether any of this is your problem at all comes down to a single question. Where does your SharePoint actually run? If your institution is on SharePoint Online, the document service inside the Microsoft 365, Microsoft patched this for you automatically as part of the managed cloud service. No update to download, no farm to touch, no maintenance window. The fix arrived without anyone at your institution lifting a finger. But if you run SharePoint Server on your own hardware, SharePoint Server 2016, 2019, or Subscription Edition, then the fix is your job. An administrator has to install the cumulative security update by hand, and the exact update differs by version. For Subscription Edition, the May 2026 update was the May security update. Until somebody deploys the right update on every server in the farm, not just the one you remember, the exposure stays open. So this week, the short list is simple, and this is exactly what an examiner expects you to be able to show. Confirm where your SharePoint runs, because a lot of institutions are surprised to find they are hybrid. Deploy the May 2026 update on every on-premise server. Tighten identity with phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication, your MFA, because that is what makes the foothold harder to steal. And watch for the signs of a stolen account. Here is what we do at ABT. We are a Tier 1 Microsoft solution provider. We manage Microsoft 365 for more than 750 banks, credit unions, and mortgage companies. And one precise word because auditors notice, we do not host your Microsoft 365. Microsoft hosts the infrastructure, we manage the tenant. When we move your document workloads into Microsoft 365 tenant, we manage. Microsoft 365 patches SharePoint Online automatically, and this ensures the entire category of on-premise server flaws stops being your emergency. For whatever genuinely has to stay on-premise, our guardian operating model watches the identity and the data layer. For the exact stolen account foothold these flaws depend on. So, if you are not even sure whether your SharePoint runs on-premise or in the cloud, that is the conversation to have this week. Talk to a Microsoft 365 specialist at ABT, and we will map where your loan files and your member records actually live and what it takes to get off the patch treadmill for good. The full breakdown with the 5-step checklist and the examiner answer is in the link below. I'm Justin Kirsch. See you in the next one.